Early voting has started. It's time to vote and think about the election. Hello and welcome to 18 WJTS in.form. I'm your host, Bill Potter. Joining me in the studio is the Dubois County Clerk, and that is Amy Kippenbrock. And the clerk's office in all the counties in Indiana are tasked with running the election. Is that correct?
Yep,
okay.
You are correct.
And I want to point out that Dubois County has always been kind of like on the cutting edge of what is new. And voting has started right now. So I can go and vote. But where can I vote? How do I vote? What do I need to do? And just to let people know, please do vote. There's really no reason not to vote.
Correct. I totally agree. And I think it's important to make sure people know what they should expect when they go into a voting location, where to go, what times we're open. There's so much information for voters to become an educated voter before they get there. So that's why we're here, and that's what we're talking about. Early voting has begun. Across the state of Indiana, it has begun, and in Dubois County, we're off to a great start.
And what we want to point out is there is a website you can go to that'll help you, because some of what we're going to say may be overwhelming because there is so much to know. But voting is not overwhelming. But there is a website to go.
IndianaVoters.com. If there's nothing else you remember from my conversation, please know IndianaVoters.com can give you all kinds of information about the election. Anything that you have questions about election related, specific to our ballots and our candidates and the hours and where to vote, you can find all of that information there. If there's something you're looking for that you don't find an answer there, that website will point you in the right direction.
Okay, now let's talk about the early voting. That is going on now.
Yep.
Where is that?
Yep. So traditionally in Dubois County, we voted at the courthouse annex, and we've changed that this year. We have some construction going on downtown Jasper, so it's right in front of the annex this year. So we have shifted a little bit for this election, and we are voting at the 35th Street Fire Station on the north side of Jasper. A lot of people have asked, where is that at? Right. It's not a place you go to normally, so which is a great question because we have easy directions. If you are familiar with where Wendy's or Taco Bell is on the north side of Jasper, if you drive out there, it's just across the road from Wendy's. That's 35th Street. We've got a couple signs out there, a big wavy flag, so it'll let you know what's going on. But you get to 35th Street Fire Station, and you are one block off the highway. Again, lots of signs, lots of vote here information out front, so it's easy to find. It's super easy to get in and out of. Little parking lot right there, park on the street, just jump in and just, cast your vote.
And something to remember about everything we're going to talk about, it really doesn't matter where you live in Dubois County. You can vote at any of the polling places because Dubois County is a...
Yep, we are what we call a vote center county now. So you can vote any open location. So if you are a voter that's registered in Dubois County, you may vote at any open polling site. That's always been the case for early voting in the most recent years, but now you can also do that on election day. So while we have 35th Street Fire Station going on right now, we'll add several locations throughout the county before election day. As an example, the 2 Saturdays before the election, so October 29th and November 5th, we have early voting at the fire station in Jasper. We also have voting at the Tri-County YMCA over in Ferdinand, and then we also have in Huntingburg at the Huntingburg Event Center. So that's the way it's been for a while, but we want to be available when people want to vote and what's convenient for them as to where they live. So we have lots of locations on those 2 Saturdays. In addition to that, we have what we call a roaming board in Dubois County. And that's really worked well for us in the past. A number of years ago, we reduced our sites, but we knew that people wanted to still vote close to where they live. So the last week before the election, we'll be at a different site every day. The hours are 10 to 6, so maybe it's after you get home from work or whatever, maybe lunchtime close to where you live. We'll be in St. Henry at the CK of A. We'll be in Hayesville at the fire station. We'll be in Schnellville at their fire station. On Thursday that week, we'll be at the Dubois Library. And on Friday, we'll be at the Birdseye Fire Station. So lots of options for voters to get out and cast their vote. Again, any open polling site, you can go in and cast your vote.
Okay, and that is in Dubois County. And a lot of counties are doing these early voting opportunities.
Yep.
But not all, but most are. So check your county to find out what there's. And you can do that by going to Indiana Voters.
IndianaVoters.com.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great place.
All right. Now, what's the difference between and absentee voting and early voting, are they the same?
It's the same.
Okay.
So sometimes I think absentee is the term that we use at a state level or maybe more administrative. What we use the term absentee for is anything early voting related. So if it's early in-person voting or early mail-in voting, it's all considered absentee on the administrative side. So you may hear absentee or you may hear in-person voting, and it means the same thing.
Okay. When it comes to Election Day, November 8th, where do we vote?
Yep, we have, again, several options in the county. So some of them are traditionally the same for many years, and we've added a few or changed a couple over the years. So we'll be at the Jasper Middle School. We'll be at the 10 Clark Cultural Center. Some people know that as the new library in Jasper. St. Mary's Community Center in Ireland. And then we're also, again, at the Huntingburg Event Center, the Holland United Methodist Church, the Tri-County YMCA, Celestine Community Club, St. Anthony Community Center, and the Dubois Ruriton Park. We have some amazing partners that let us come to their facilities and use their resources. Many of those locations, we don't even have to pay anything for some of those. So we really have great partners in our communities that help voters have that option to cast their vote where they are. So many options on Election Day as well.
In Dubois County, will everybody have somebody to vote for? Does every precinct, unlike, I guess, in the primary, there wasn't a whole lot to vote for, so the turnout was really low. Let's hopefully get that number up for the general election. But on every ballot, will there be a contested race?
Yes, we have lots of different things to vote on, from federal offices, state offices, county offices, township offices, and school boards. So lots of things, and there is at least one contested race on every single ballot in Dubois County. So that should give you some drive to kind of research a little bit about what that is and come out and cast your vote.
Okay, so let's say I live in Jasper, but I happen to be in Ferdinand doing some work, and I want to vote in Ferdinand on Election Day. How do they know it's how will it bring up my ballot? It'll bring up my ballot?
That's a perfect question, because a lot of people want to know that. So you just bring your ID with you, and when you check in, we're checking you in on the statewide system on that poll pad, and it pulls up your information that's special to your voter registration. So we know where you live and what districts you're assigned to. So any site has all of our ballots on those machines. So they'll check you in, and they'll get the machine activated to the correct precinct, and then it'll have all of your choices that you can make at that location.
So regardless of where I vote, whether it's early voting or on Election Day?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's really important to remember, because so many people want to know how that works. And the system is secure. I mean, election integrity and election security is really important to every administrator that works on and prepares the election. So when you come in and you check in and you cast your vote, I've had people say, well, how do you know I can't go vote at another location? The system at the poll pad location syncs up every 2 minutes, and it tells us that you have already checked in and you've already done your stuff at that other location. So if you vote at one and you try to vote at another one, which not that I think anybody would probably do that in Dubois County. However, the system works to make sure that it's secure. Another part of that is sometimes you may have felt like you weren't going to be in town for Election Day and you wanted to vote by mail, and then maybe your plans have changed. So you may have started the process to vote by mail, but you never cast your ballot. So when you go in to vote, you'll tell that poll worker, hey, I started the process to vote by mail, but I don't want to vote that way anymore. And they'll have you sign a piece of paper, and they'll get you checked in and get you through the process.
Okay. What sort of ID is needed? When people go, you have to have a photo ID, is that correct?
Yeah, you have to have a photo ID. It has to have an expiration date on it, and it has to be state of Indiana or government issued. So most people will use their driver's license. That's the most common. Some people have an ID card from the BMV, but maybe you don't have one of those. You can use a passport or a military issued ID. There's a few options. So if you get there and you don't have your ID with you, we may have an option for you. Or if you come to early voting and you're like, oh, I didn't bring it, you have time to go get it and then cast your vote either that day or maybe a later time.
If somebody doesn't have an ID and doesn't realize it till the morning of Election Day and go, I want to vote, but I don't have an ID.
The BMV is open. They can help you with IDs on Election Day. Yeah, I think that they stay open. I don't know the exact times that they're open, but they are open for ID purposes on Election Day.
And remember, they are in a new location. They're close to hometown IGA now, so make sure it's not that far from where they were, but make sure you realize
when you pull up and they're not there, you're like, where do I go? Yeah, they totally are at the new place.
Okay, let's talk about districts and straight party voting on your ballot.
That's really important. So many people want to know about straight party voting. So if you go in, the first page on your ballot is straight party voting. You can choose an option on that page. There's Republican, Democratic, or Libertarian. If you choose one of those selections, the machine is not going to cast a vote for Township Board because there's 3 choices and you have to go choose all 3 of those. The other thing that it will not choose is School Board. It doesn't choose School Board because those are nonpartisan races. They are not declaring one of the other parties or any of the parties. So they're nonpartisan, so you have to make your selections there. And then there's 2 public questions at the end of the ballot that everybody has the choice to make a selection for. So if you choose straight party voting, it's not going to cast a selection for those things. You may still make a selection before you finish the process. Or if you don't want to vote straight party ticket, you want to go and make all of your own selections, that's fine too. You just hit next page and you can choose all your selections.
And remember, when you're going to vote, this is the general election. You don't declare a party. You don't have to say, I want to vote Republican, I want to vote Democrat, I want to vote Libertarian.
Yeah, that's so true.
You just go in to vote.
So many people also will say something about they want to vote straight party, but maybe they want to make on one office, they want to make a change. You can do that. You can choose if you want to vote straight party, you can do that, and then the machine will let you uncheck something and check something else. If whatever your selections are is what the machine will let you do.
And also, if I want to, I can go and vote for just one race because that's all I want. Maybe all I really want to vote for is School Board. Maybe all I want to vote for is something else.
As long as you make one selection on the machine, that's all it requires. Okay. Once we activate the machine, we need you to make at least one selection to finish and cast your vote. So, yeah. So also, let's talk a little bit about districts. We talked a little bit about School Board and how that works with straight party voting, but districts have been a confusing part for voters in the past. So if you go in and you are looking at School Board races, you may see that there's multiple districts on your ballot. Everybody in a school district votes on all school board seats. So those districts are important for where the candidate lives. So you may see, we've had people say, oh, I don't know which district I live in if I should vote on something. If it's on your ballot, you may cast a selection. Yeah, so that's really important. So you'll see multiple school board districts on your ballot, but everybody in the school board district votes for every seat. However, now here comes a confusing part. If you are voting on county council, that is special to where you live as a voter. So the candidate has to live in a certain place, and then it's restricted to just that district to vote on. So I think the main part to remember is if you see it on your ballot, you are allowed to vote on one of the options. That's really important so everybody knows the ballot you're receiving is correct for the things that you can make selections on. For
your location.
Yes, so, it's all based on your address where you're registered at.
Okay. Are these machines, it seems like every year machines change a little bit, same machine as what we voted in 2020?
Yes, it's the same machines that we've had for a number of years. We did in 2020, we added what's called a VVPAT. It stands for Voter Verifiable Paper Audit Trail. So what that means is we want you to have more confidence in the process. Is the machine really doing what you think it's supposed to be doing? That's really important to me as an election administrator, that you have confidence in what's happening when you're not there. So when you come in to vote, you're going to make your selections. The last page, you're going to push a button that says Verify Vote. And that extra piece of equipment that's sitting in that voting booth is going to scroll forward. It's like a receipt paper. It's going to scroll forward and it's going to show you how the machine is recording the selections you made. So maybe you pushed a candidate and you thought you pushed a different candidate. Those buttons are so close together, maybe we just, we pushed the one that by accident. You can go back and make a correction. It'll keep your ballot or your selections. It'll ask you to go back, and you can go back and start again. It'll keep all the selections you've made. You get to the end, and it'll scroll forward and show you again. Otherwise, maybe all the selections are correct. Maybe the paper that scrolled forward is correct, and it is showing you everything that you made selections for. And then you're going to push verify vote, and then the red button will light up, and you can push the red button to finish the process. When you finish with the process by hitting that red button, that printer paper will scroll forward, so the next person behind you won't see how you voted. You don't take anything away. Some people think you get a receipt to take with you, but you don't do that. We keep that receipt paper. It's confidential. It doesn't have your name on it. It's got your voter ID number, but it doesn't have your name on it. As an election administrator, I don't know how you voted. The machines tally those results out, and then they get put into a program in the office on election night. So we don't know how you voted. But we keep those rolls of paper, so if there's ever a recount or we have to go through a post-election audit, it's just one more way to verify all the pieces worked through the whole process.
Okay, what are some crazy excuses you hear about, I don't want to vote, it's not worth my time to vote?
I think that's the biggest thing. People don't have time, and that's why we've really worked hard to make it convenient for people to have a place that's close to them, and many places, so it's a quick in and out process. But we're all busy. We're all very busy in our lives, and convenience is a big thing. So I think just not having time, and some people say, it doesn't count. My vote doesn't matter. It's just one piece, but it really does matter. Like, I encourage everyone to go to indianavoters.com, see what offices are on their ballot and who the candidates are. Like, you at least know who the candidates are, and then you can go and do a little research to decide who's the best selection for you. So I think it doesn't take that much time if you spend, 5 or 10, maybe 15 minutes just looking at that website to kind of educate yourself and maybe familiarize yourself with what you're going to see once you come to cast your vote. I think that's really helpful, and then you feel really good, and every single vote gets counted. Every single vote gets counted, and it's very important to give your selections to the process. It's the representation that you're asking, for the government to represent you.
And on two of those excuses, my vote doesn't count. It does. Remember, several years ago, I think it was one vote that made the difference in a major office in Jasper.
Yeah.
And on the time element, I'm old enough that I remember the old big with the curtain sort of things we had to do, and there were lines because you only voted between 6 and 6 on election day, and that was it. And so there were lines of people. Yeah. Well, now with this early voting, I have never, I think, stood in line more than 2 people to wait to vote.
Yeah. We've had a steady flow of people for early voting at the fire station. We've only been, it's just been a short time while we've gotten started, but it's been a steady flow. I don't know if there's ever, I think it's less than 5 minutes. If anybody has had to wait, just wait for a machine to free up and then we move on. We have extra machines ready if we get a little busier, so we can add to the process to make it less painful or less wait, if you will. If we get closer to election and more people kind of come out to vote, they've made their minds up of who they want to vote for, we have a way to get you in and out in a very efficient and quick manner. I think even in 2020, when we had a lot of people coming down to the annex to vote, and we really worked hard that year to make sure it was safe for everybody to get out, but I don't think there was much more than a 15-minute wait most of the time. So, 15 minutes seems like a long time when you're standing there in line, but really it's not that long. It's really easy to get you in and out. You're comfortable, and you have the time once you get to the voting machine, and you can move on with the process.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. It's not a timed event. I can take as long as I want at that machine.
That's correct.
Or I can be as fast as I want. And if I know who I'm voting for, it's pretty easy.
Yep.
And if you don't, you just stand there a while and think about who you want to vote for.
Think it through. And if you're there and you made your selections, but you're not sure why the machine's not moving forward, just ask a poll worker. A lot of people will say, I think I'm done, but the machine's not doing anything. So, how do I finish up? So that's a common thing. So again, listen to what the poll worker's instructions are when they come in. They just want to tell you how to operate the machine and what's kind of happening so you can get in and do what you want to do. Most ballots in Dubois County are either 5 or 6 pages. So you'll have to go through each page to get to the end Even if you just want one selection through your ballot, that's fine, but you still have to go to the end, and then you still have to push the red button.
Okay, and remember, vote regardless of what county you're in. Voting is really much easier now than it has been over the years. Thanks for making that happen,
Yeah.
Amy. It really is very easy to vote. And actually, I have to think, I don't know if I've ever missed an election my whole life, and I'm an old guy. So there's really no excuse to vote. I mean, I think it's an honor to live in a country where you have that opportunity to vote. Please don't waste it. Take the time.
Yeah, it's really important to take a few minutes to, get some knowledge and educate yourself what's going to happen, who you want to make selections for when you get there. And then it's really easy to get in and out of through the process. So bring your ID, stop in at any open spot, and cast your vote.
And remember, this is a general election. Party affiliation has nothing to do with where you vote, how you vote, or what you select. That's up to you individually. Nobody knows. You can vote for one. You can vote for everybody that you want to vote in each of the offices.
Yeah, that's really important. So many people think that they are affiliated to one party, and you may be as a voter, that may be your choice. But when you come into the voting machine, you can choose any candidate on the ballot for this general election. Maybe you want a Republican or a Democratic or a Libertarian selection. You can make any choice for any of the candidates on your ballot. And again, that's kept confidential to you. Like, you're the only one that knows who you voted for. But once you hit the red button, it's done, and we'll count it.
All right, Amy, thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate talking about elections.
And I guess if somebody really has another question, they could call the clerk's office, or whatever county you live in, call your clerk's office. That's where the voting information is. But again, the website to go to really get the easiest information is
indianavoters.com. That's a great place to start. If for some reason you don't have access to it, then you can call the clerk's office.
One more question. If I go to indianavoters.com, what sort of information do they need?
Yeah, you're going to put your name and your date of birth in, and then it'll pull up your voter registration. So it's going to show you what your address is, and you hit confirm, and then the next page will show you all the stuff we've talked about.
Okay. Amy, thank you very much.
Super easy. Yeah, thanks.
Amy Kippenbrock is the Dubois County Clerk of the Circuit Court. Is that the actual right title?
Yep.
Okay. She is in charge of the elections in Dubois County, as all clerks are throughout Indiana. Thank you for watching 18 WJTS. Please be sure to vote now, or be sure to vote on Election Day. Thanks for watching. We're local people watching local people.